Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, Facebook and YouTube. Kristen Ryder here for, oh my gosh, what episode? Episode 14 of Who Are You? Who, da-na-na-na-na-na, who are you? Who. All right. Thank you so much for joining us, whether you are on live or watching the recording. Before I introduce my powerhouse of a guest, I have a few announcements. I am doing an in-person sound bath on the fall equinox, which is this Sunday in my living room where I'm becoming a legend at 11 a.m. Bring your yoga mat, eye pillow. I don't think we're going to need a blanket because it's going to be nice and warm, but we will be activating this beautiful time of year and bringing in fall with some sacred vibrations. And I have a new instrument that I'm promised will be participating, which I'm so excited for. It's like Christmas, and I'm not even going to say it just in case it doesn't happen. I don't want to be disappointed. I said that really fast. And if you need an astrology reading or a private sound bath, you can go to KristenWriter.com. I do have openings, and my rates are cheap. I'm not going with this inflation thing. Make sure all of us are nice and shiny for this ascension process. I'm holding the line for us. I'm holding the line. All right, ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you so much for joining us. And I am so honored to introduce my guest this evening, the beautiful, the powerful, the very wise goddess, whom is a naturopathic doctor, Dr. Cathy Atkinson. Did I say that right? Atkinson?
Yeah, it's Atkinson, no K-I-N at the end.
Oh, there's no K. Oh my gosh, let me edit that.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
my
Atkinson
Atkinson. See,
without
I
the
said it
K-I-N.
right, but I typed it wrong. Let
Okay,
me edit
you
that.
said it right.
Atkinson. Okay. I was like, because I said it out loud, right? There we
Mhm.
go. Oh my goodness. Tell God your plans. All right. There we are. Way to start out with a bang. So I want to hear, I mean, a lot of people don't know what a naturopathic doctor is.
Right.
Can you give us a description of what a naturopathic doctor is?
Well, I could tell you a little story. When I
Absolutely.
first got into business almost 30 years ago, I went to talk with a group, local group in town. I think it was a Lions Club or I don't know, something to that
Oh,
effect.
hilarious.
Okay. And it was a group of men. And I introduced myself as a naturopathic doctor. And they just kind of looked at me like we're talking 20 some years ago.
You're a pioneer.
And they just looked at me. And the one guy goes, "A pathetic doctor?" I said, "Well, there was an icebreaker."
Whoa, absolutely. Oh my
It
goodness.
was kind of cute, but it was like, well, I hope not. By the time we're done, I hope you won't think I'm a pathetic doctor, you know? But a naturopathic doctor, and many people really don't, that's not their vocabulary. More and more it is. But a
Mhm.
naturopath is a person who takes the natural path. It's all you have to remember. We take a natural path. And what we know now as modern medicine is, your doctor, you go to the hospital and the doctor's office for physicals and stuff like that. They're called an allopath. And an allopath means the doctor that takes the other path.
Wow.
I hope
I
that resonates. So,
know that.
yeah, the allopath, that's the other path.
Well, that makes sense because that other path is trying to imitate the natural path.
Kind of. Yeah,
Okay, give it to us, Dr.
kind
Cat.
of. Well, a naturopath, and I'm a traditional naturopathic doctor. There are naturopathic physicians, there's naturopathic doctors, and there's quite a difference between the two.
Mm,
So, and a traditional naturopathic doctor is I cannot treat, diagnose, or prescribe legally.
okay.
I live in New York State, and they really don't accept that much. I mean,
Oh, yeah, no. New
for
York is
us,
rough.
they are rough. So I have to be extremely careful with the words that I use. So when I talk to a person, we describe symptoms. We never name a disease. I never name a disease. So if they come in with cancer, they say, I've got cancer. I'll say bad cells. So we have to use a different terminology so we won't be accused of practicing medicine without a license. So that's one of the things that people who come to a naturopathic doctor will hear different words. Inflammation, okay, is pain, inflammation. So we can say inflammation, but we have to kind of walk a different line. Just a beep. So there are naturopathic physicians, and they are licensed in many states. They go to different schooling.
Interesting.
So it's just a matter of how you're educated and what you sign up for. I chose not to be that person. They can cut. Naturopathic physicians can prescribe. They can do certain things that I can't do and I don't want to do.
Well,
There's
that's good
I
in my
choose it. Yeah.
opinion.
It keeps me safe. It keeps the person safe. And one of the things I love to tell people is if you think I'm going to ask you to take your clothes off in my office, we are both in trouble. So,
This is safe naturopathy. This is a platonic naturopathy.
yeah, yeah. Kinder, simpler, gentler. That's the front page of my website. It's kinder, simpler, gentler type of healthcare. So we use nature. We use everything we can possible in nature. So that's kind of like, in a nutshell, what a naturopathic doctor. And we use all different types of modalities.
Okay, like what would like herbs and plant
Yep.
medicine
I'm an
or
herbalist. I'm an herbalist. I love nutrition. I love healing with food because I really believe everything in nature was made for us to stay well and get well.
yeah,
To
our
get well and
bodies
stay
are
well.
natural healers.
Right. And a matter of fact, I went today to get my nails done and we were talking. I was talking to somebody called me. They'd gotten bit by something and I was talking about doing a detox and poison antidotes and all that. And the guy's doing my nails. He says, "You do herbs?" And it brought a whole conversation out.
Oh, I love that.
People
Just
are interested,
yeah.
and he's going, and my hair, my head. It was like he was just going off. It's like, well, we probably should make an appointment for this, but it's okay.
I know it's interesting because I'll get into conversations just with friends or whatever, and then information will come through, and that's my work. But I can't not help people,
You can't.
right?
So
That's what we're all here to do.
when people, when they learn what you do, and then you show, yes, he says, I have a black walnut tree in my yard. He goes, can I do anything with that? Because the nuts are all over. And we had a nice, lengthy conversation about black walnuts, what they can do. And he's going, you mean to tell me it can help you and I said, it can help in a lot of ways, but there's so many things. I said, how about garlic? So we got to talking about foods and spices and all that. But that's one thing, but I really love energy healing. Energy medicine is where it's at.
Now, do you practice that in your naturopathy?
Yes.
What type of energy medicine do you
Well, I do custom homeopathic remedies.
Oh, wonderful. I love homeopathy. Amazing. So you
It
make
is.
your own
I do,
oh,
specific to the person.
fantastic.
So and there's different testing methods that you can use. I use kinesiology, and I
Mm,
mean, there's many things that we can use. One of the things I love to do is, and I don't, people get a little nervous, and I said, I like to read people's faces. I like to read how their
Off the
body shape.
language.
The body talks to us all the
So
time.
so much. Well, and that's what kinesiology is too. You can do it like this, everybody. This is a
Yep,
good way to test, or you can have somebody
yep. Or you
point
can do it yourself by just doing the sway test.
yeah,
You could use a
or
pendulum if you're okay with pendulums.
love pendulums.
Me too. I have a cat. I have a cat crying outside. But
Oh,
there's so many ways to test the energy. And
yeah.
so what's the first thing I usually teach people when we get to that point in my consultations? I teach them how to test themselves because it's a skill that will never, ever fail you.
Ever.
You
It is
get it right, and then you can test things wherever you go. It's a
that's
gift.
fantastic. It is a gift. Our
It's
bodies are a gift, and food is medicine.
right.
Well, I mean, I'm not a naturopathic doctor, but I use garlic is nature's antibiotic. Like I can't tell you the last time I was on antibiotics because if I start to feel weird, I'll do something. I'll do oil of oregano, or
Mhm.
I will make some delicious sourdough toast with
Mhm.
raw garlic that I've chopped up
Yep.
and let be chopped up for like 10 minutes because that
Yep.
activates enzymes.
Yep.
And I'm curious because black walnuts are very, very potent, but do they it's my understanding that walnuts in general help with dopamine levels of the brain.
It can. It's a great source of omega-3s. I
Oh,
know, I know. And then he was telling me, he goes, "Well, I just love it, but it's a great source of, I mean, it does many things. The things that I like is omega-3s, and it's a good source of iodine
iodine is lacking in our
and
diet.
especially glandular issues. Women with breast cancer, and you've got the uterine and the ovarian, and the men with prostate glandular issues, we're so lacking in iodine because of our farming methods and the way that salt and all that stuff.
You mean the way they're poisoning us every which way
Yeah. It's
but
sad.
whatever.
It's sad. I mean, it's amazing. I always say, we are surviving in spite of in spite of
We
everything.
are. We are. And, I believe that's, our consciousness shift, right?
Yeah.
So, and you've been practicing for such a long time, but something I'm very inspired about is because you're a way shower, like you started this 30 years ago.
Oh,
What
the
brought
stuff
you
yeah, the
to
stuff that's coming out now is stuff that it's like we learned this 30 years ago, but
it's like
nobody wanted to hear it.
yeah, so that I mean, that must have been so challenging
Mhm.
30 years ago and seeing
Yeah.
where people are finally catching up, but what drew you to becoming a naturopathic practitioner?
Well, a few things, but I was always interested in herbs and plants and stuff for medicine. I worked in my father's and my grandmothers, they had greenhouses and I lived in the country. I worked in the greenhouses. I was always fascinated. I was the nurse in the neighborhood. I grew up,
That's wonderful.
I,
Oh my
I had three big
gosh.
brothers and all the neighbors were boys and I was the nurse when they played, cops and robbers and all that stuff. And I would give them the nastiest jelly beans there were because that was medicine. But, I was always fascinated with plants. And as I got older, more fascination. I really did want to be a nurse, but I didn't go that way. I didn't think that I could. I didn't think that I was smart enough.
Oh,
Probably
interesting.
wasn't, but I ended up and did the other path. But anyways, I did that, and then as I got older, I had a lot of reproductive problems in my teens, and as in my 20s, a lot of problems, and I ended up going the regular way, medical way. And they kept telling me it was all stress, it's all in your head, which it probably was. And then I'm going to say probably late 30s, I had real problems. And they're always wanting to cut, burn, slash. And I said, no, I don't want to go that route. And then they ended up giving me massive amounts of birth control pills
Oh gosh.
because I was hemorrhaging for weeks.
Birth
Hemorrhaging.
control pills are the worst. They are so awful, not only for our bodies and our hormones and our
Right.
systems, but we also pee it out into the water.
Right.
I think 10, maybe 20 years ago, Colorado was starting to report that the fish in the water were
Oh,
having both sexes because of all the birth control peed into the water system.
yeah, Living Upstream. There's a book called Living Upstream. And I think it was Rachel Carson. And if you know anything about Rachel Carson, she's the one that helped found, I believe, the EPA back in the 60s. And the EPA came about because I believe I could be saying it wrong, but back the 70s, that's when we had the Earth Days and all that stuff,
Oh,
We
yeah.
started becoming aware of the chemicals and things and how it was killing the planet. But
Yeah.
yes, so it's been going on quite a while, but nobody paid attention unless you were like a hippie like me. You know,
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, that was where that movement went. Do you know Unholy Raislin?
no,
Unholy Raislin is saying, "Hi, Kathy. Hi, Kristen.
I
Hello."
just I no, I don't know that. I didn't do
I don't
that.
know who that is either, but if you want to type your real name in, I'll give you a shout out. And if you have any questions for Miss Kathy, please put them in the chat.
Sure.
So I love that you took that journey and then you did not allow cut slash whatever.
No,
And that was like, you're going to figure this
that
out
was
yourself.
kind of the beginning of where I am now. It was like, and then as I do a lot of tracing, and one of the things I've been really, really working on in the past few months, actually, since I broke my wrist, I couldn't do anything else. So, I just kind of worked on me.
Yeah, great.
And I started to do some tracing back to my health history, which I've always done somewhat, but I really went to the tracing back.
What is tracing?
Tracing, well, it's just a word. I just going, it's like genealogy. It's like my health,
Oh,
my health. And so I went back to, okay, and at this time, this is what incident happened. This is a trauma I had. This is, and I'm going deeper, and I did it on a physical, emotional, and a spiritual aspect of my whole life.
wow.
It's
Yeah,
deep. And I
it
really
is.
want to put together a program. I do that with some of my clients. When they work with me for a long period of time, we go deeper. We say, this is where you are today. And an example, a lady came to me uh, back 3 years ago, 3 years ago, and she was from North Carolina, from your area.
Oh,
And because we do everything on Zoom. This may be a
okay.
new way of doing it, but she was struggling with cancer, colon cancer, and I'm not saying any stories, that I'm not saying a name or anything.
No, no, no.
Couldn't do the chemotherapy. Could not do it.
Good.
Well, yes, I can't even talk about it much
I
right
know.
now.
I know.
So,
I feel you, Kathy. You're like my sister. I'm like, yep. When's the last? I can't even tell you the last time I went to a doctor. So,
yes. So she ended up, and it was really hard because her family was insisting she continue on, and she goes, "It's killing me." And I'm like, when the cure is worse than the cause, the problem, we have a problem. And I wrote that down there. If the cure would hurt a healthy person, why would we use it on a sick person?
yeah,
I
because
asked my neighbor was just visiting, getting
yeah,
some garlic from me, and she said, I said to her, I was talking about something, and I said, "Would you take chemotherapy today?" And she looked at me, and I said, "You're pretty healthy, aren't you?" "Yeah, I am. I'm doing really well." I said, "Would you take chemotherapy today?" And she goes, "No, why would I?" I said, "Well, you're healthy, so you should be able to handle it, right?" And she's going, "I don't think I could." I said, "Then how do you think a sick person handles it?"
it's so simple.
To
It's
me, it's so common sense,
yeah. I mean, it's.
but it's shoved into us.
I know. I
And
know.
I'm going through it personally in my family. My great grandson,
Oh.
he's 14 months old, he's stage 4 cancer.
Oh
It's
my gosh.
heartbreaking. And it's
Those
heartbreaking. And I'm not saying this for any other reason than, but people believe that that's the only choice they have.
because they're scared. And
Fear.
that's all.
It's
Yeah.
all fear, and we know what fear does. So it's a
Yeah.
matter of when you're ready for it to accept maybe a different perspective. And that's what I always ask. And I tell people, consider taking a different perspective.
I love that. And it is perspective. It's like,
Yes.
what if there's another do your research. I think that's where, in the indoctrination of this system,
Right.
it has been vast. People have been encouraged to give their power and medical sovereignty away
Yeah.
to the medical
Because
field, right?
because that's what we've learned. That I mean, and I think personally what I've been seeing, I mean, it's coming so clearly to me, is like the great divide. There's such a division in people. There's black and then there's white. I'd like to see it blend a little bit, that we could accept and adapt to different ways of thinking and come out together in unity.
Hmm.
But that's what's I think I'm feeling it,
Hmm.
that there's such a division, and I can't go any further than that because I'm not getting up on talk. I don't talk about politics or any of that stuff. But it's
Oh,
a matter of, we are in a place where things are being cleared so we can see things for what they are.
absolutely. That veil is getting
Yep.
pulled,
Yes.
especially by Scorpio season.
Okay.
Sorry.
And I don't know anything about
I
that. So
know you don't. I know you don't. I can't help it. I'm an astrologer.
you're teaching me too.
Yeah.
So I'm sensing that I'm a very intuitive person.
Yes, you are. But and whether you have been intuitive for a long time or not,
Hmm.
these new frequencies of
Yes.
plasma and solar flares that are coming into our consciousness and our cells is assisting in pulling back the curtain and revealing the wizard operating the machinery behind the curtain.
Yes, and that's just it, the wizard behind. And it's starting to open up.
Yeah.
And I don't know, but I see it. I've been seeing it I've been in
I
this,
mean, you've been
immersed in
seeing
this
it
for
for
years.
30 plus years.
Yeah.
You are a way shower because you saw through the false matrix and programming forever and a day ago. So thank you for
Well,
your work.
I
And
thank my teachers. I do. I had a lot of fabulous teachers, and that's how I look at it. It's like I've been guided this way, but that took me getting sick myself. And
it does, because that's where,
yeah.
I mean, I experiment on myself all the time. I just
Oh,
made diatomaceous earth bentonite clay toothpaste with essential oils and stevia with my son on FaceTime.
black walnut's another one. So is charcoal, activated charcoal.
Activated charcoal, yeah, that's a
It's
really good one.
simple. You're not spending an arm and a leg.
Yeah, and it's so cheap.
Yeah,
Well, it's getting a little more expensive now, as everything is,
it
but,
is.
and it started way back when, that disempowerment, and it goes along with a disconnection from the planet, right? Where
Mm.
you have always felt very connected to nature and Gaia and the planet, and herbs, and, oh, they're so talkative, but when,
Yeah, I
mom.
love it. Yes.
Yeah, I wanna go back to that point, but I remember my mom, going to the doctor when she was pregnant with us, and the doctor's telling her, "This powder is gonna be better than what your breast milk will actually." When the baby suckles, the nipple takes in the baby's saliva, analyzes it, and shifts your milk in a matter of hours to fulfill the nutrients of the baby. Now, how the heck is some mainstream created powder going to be better than that?
But they thought the doctors, they made the doctors their God.
I know that. Well, that was the disconnect also. Like, here, give your power to this person of authority. And that is also where we're at in this divisiveness. And the
Right.
third option is that of, you're allowed to do you. I'm allowed to do
Right.
me. Look at what's going on around all of us, and I think we can agree that none of us want this.
Right.
That's the unity, and it requires us to be very emotionally mature and neutral,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not this one's lying to this one and this one's lying to this one. It's like we've all been lied to.
And it's becoming more and more obvious.
More and more, that's
Those
what this
who choose,
whole thing is about.
choose to open their eyes.
Yeah, that's what 2020 vision's all about, ain't it?
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's
I
like it's so basic. To me, this is all so basic that when I went to school, I was working full time at a nuclear cleanup facility.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, I
You
worked
mean, I heard they put garlic in the soil of those places to cleanse the soil. Is that true?
I never heard that.
Okay.
I won't say no, but I've never heard that. But
How did you end up at a nuclear what?
it was close to where I lived. So it's okay. But I ended up and I learned I was responsible for an environmental program, responsible for educating people outside in the community. It was a really cool job. It turned out to be just right up my alley.
It's absolutely, because you're like, "I've got the medicine for you."
Well, I was still learning. I
Okay.
was still learning, but I had, great people and they were all into it. And so we were like heading on to that area. We were there. And we were learning about the toxins in the environment and all the things that are in our detergents and our water and all that stuff that we were able to share. So it turned out to be a crazy place for me to be, but it turned out to be a real blessing
It's
because
funny how spirit works, right?
that though,
Yeah.
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 So, I mean, that's kind of part of my background. But again, like I said, people get sick, like the one lady with a cancer, and she became cancer free. And I'm thinking 6 months or something. She cleaned up. We cleaned her out. We cleaned
Yeah.
her up. We
I mean,
detoxed.
it's like celery juices. I mean, celery is a really big one, right?
It is, but it's a little. I don't always say that's the best because some people can't tolerate it.
Oh,
Some
sure,
people,
everybody's different,
but
and
I call it the ABCDs.
what is
I
the
try to
ABC?
keep things very simple.
Okay.
Not that people are simple, it's that I'm simple. So I have to keep it simple.
It's that God is simple. Mother, Father, God is simple.
Yeah, it says to activate the body, get your mind, get your head in the game. It's like, I choose to do this. I'm sick of getting poisoned. I'm sick of going and having my power taken away from me. So we activate the body. We build up the body through nutrition,
Great.
food, good thoughts, all that good stuff. And then we cleanse out the body. Cleansing is basically, it's not the same as detoxification.
Okay.
People think it's the same. It is not. Cleansing is helping the organs cleanse that they can cleanse, but we're helping them cleanse themselves. Okay. So you go
Mm.
through a colon cleanse, you go through a
I
liver
was just
cleanse.
gonna ask, do you do coffee? Do you suggest coffee enemas?
I have, and that's one of the first things we had to do when we were going to school for as a naturopath is do enemas. That
Yeah.
was
Hi,
fun.
Lindsay. Lindsay's in the house.
Hi, Lindsay. Hi. Well, and then the next is detoxification. So the stuff that the body can't clean out, like heavy metals, chemotherapy, that kind of stuff. Your body's like, what do I do with this stuff? So we
And
have to help it.
word to clear out heavy metals like mercury, well, all of it, like oh my God, it's not citronella, cilantro and chlorella
Yeah,
and
cilantro and
spirulina.
chlorella for radiation. Absolutely. So we've got plants and stuff to help that. But what I find is helping that even deeper is using the homeopathy, because
Wow.
that's like cures like. That's what homeopathy is all about. So we cancel out the vibration of whatever chemical, usually chemicals, vaccines, that kind of stuff. The body goes, what do I do now? So we help it out by clearing its vibration. We clear out, so because everything has a wavelength. Do you see
Yeah.
my fingers? And
Yep.
so if the wavelength is a certain way, for, let's just say, I don't know, lead. Okay, there's a certain wavelength, and so homeopathy takes that same wavelength and reverses it, and it cancels it out. So if you've got them both coming, you're canceling it out, neutralizing it, and that's law of similars. That's what homeopathy does.
I love it. And that's what Lindsay's actually asking what homeopathy is. So can you explain a little bit more?
Pretty much is energy medicine.
Mhm.
And it came about, I'm going to say in the mid 1800s. It's been around forever. Dr. Hahnemann, Dr. Samuel Hahnemann, and he was a German. He was actually a physician, and he got tired of doing the same thing and people not getting well with surgery and everything, whatever. And he learned flower essences and homeopathy. Homeopathy is vaccinations. Actually, it was came about because of homeopathy.
I did not know that.
So, well, if you think about the homeopathy is usually plants and flowers and stuff like that, okay? And vaccinations was like cow pus. It was nasty stuff. And they would take that stuff and actually make an injection of it. Because a little
Right.
bit of the poison, that was a whole philosophy, a little bit of the poison. Homeopathy was a bit different, but it was along the same lines. It's just
Interesting.
one
So they mimicked it because they didn't know how to create their own, which is part of a parasitic system.
Yes. I mean, it could go much deeper, and I'm sure if there's somebody else on here that knows more, they could really explain it at depth, but I'm just trying to gloss it over. But homeopathy, so there's different types, there's classical homeopathy and then there's complex homeopathy. I use something called complex homeopathy, and
Okay.
I use vials and stuff, and basically that's oxygenated water with the vibration of the illness. So I had a guy a few weeks ago, I say a month or so ago, from Georgia. Somebody called and says, "Can you help this man? He's had Parkinson's, 90 some years old. He was fine. He took the jab, and then he got blood clots, a lot
Oh,
of blood clots, which
yes.
is." I'm treading into some water that I'm not sure that people will understand or
Totally. I understand what you're saying, and you're doing a great job of keeping it general,
I
but
want to keep it neutral.
yeah,
There's
but
no judgment. There's
because
no,
people didn't know.
no, no.
People didn't know. No one was there
It
was no
wasn't forthcoming.
consensus. There was no it was just a complete hoodwink.
Yes. So, and people came to me because they didn't want to do that. But I now have remedies. I have vials and things specifically for all the different vibrations, dilutions that they had of all the different
renditions.
help me hear vaccines.
Yeah,
We had all the different things so I can help them detox from
that
that,
is so
which is
wonderful. So
really awesome.
so then is COVID the reason that you shifted your focus to more
Some
of
of
homeopathy?
Well, I've been doing homeopathy for probably 10, golly, almost, I've been doing it for quite a while, 2007. So what's that make? Almost 20 years.
Yeah.
Because it clicked. When I learned about this method that I use, it was like, that's the missing piece. So when this man sent me a saliva sample, I said, have him do this, this, and this. And he goes, keep it simple. And I said, yes, I'll keep it simple. So we did it. I did a remedy specific to the vaccines. It's specific to the symptoms were Parkinson's and we had blood clots. So what we're doing is canceling out those vibrations with the remedies.
Amazing.
And I
And
shifted.
thank you. And because there have been
Powerful.
other, I wasn't aware homeopathy was so powerful because there's also foreign agents in
Yes.
the jabs. So does homeopathy tackle that as probably because it's all frequency and consciousness,
And I
right?
have vials specific for that.
Oh, wow.
We
Okay,
have
so
vials. Yeah.
doing
So
the
I
natural
mean,
way.
I'm so blessed, and we are blessed that we have this people out there creating this stuff. And so I did that, and I shipped it back to him, and I called my friend, and I said, "How's he doing?" Because we never talked. We never talked.
You just got his saliva sample?
And the
Wow.
symptoms. And so I tested using kinesiology.
Mhm.
And he woke up the next day and his wife said, "You're not shaking." Now, this was an extreme example. And he's going, because he was exhausted. I think he's 93. And he's exhausted from it. And his whole hands, everything was shaking.
Yeah, because 'cause you're muscular, you never get a rest.
The central nervous system had been affected.
Yeah.
And so I talked with him a few days ago and I said, "How's he doing?" He's telling the world about it.
Oh, I love that.
Not me. I always say I give God the credit. I really do. That's my belief. It's like
Well, thank
I'm the tool.
you, messenger.
I'm the vessel.
Yes, you are, and what a gorgeous vessel you are. Oh my gosh, thank you so much.
It's very fulfilling work. It really
So
is.
it is, and I am so grateful that you have incarnated in this time because you are a warrior, goddess, sage. And I have a question about because your generation, well, actually older than the
Yeah.
man with Parkinson's, like they've been getting, the DEET and all the toxins in the dishwashing and the laundry soap, all that
Yeah.
stuff. Because they took out all the stuff that healed the radiation or got rid of radiation back in the early 20s and whatever. But what would you do you have dementia patients or patients that have
Um,
Alzheimer's or
I have, but generally speaking, the family's kind of given up on them.
oh
But
gosh.
what they have found, and this is not me, but what they have found with dementia and Alzheimer's and stuff is they now call it, and many people may know this, diabetes 3.
What?
Yeah,
Are you kidding me?
kidding you. And usually
Don't
when
make me throw my computer through the window, Kathy. How
I
dare they?
well, and they used to blame it on aluminum. They used to blame it on there's so many things that people have heard, and I used to think the same thing. Um, and it could still be part of that. I mean, there are so many facets, just
Yeah.
like anything else. But now they're finding people who've had diabetes 2 all their life, diabetes 1, diabetes 2 all their life, and there's a big difference. But now because they have blood sugar issues, and many of them are just like it's been out of control, and then it's like the ship is out at sea, and they're trying to find the port. That's
Mhm.
how I look at it. It's trying to find the port to get home, and they don't know how to get home. If you've ever been with anybody, and it's like, and I will say that I did have COVID. Um, and I will say trauma has a lot to do. There's many reasons why people get sick. People
Yeah.
get hurt. People
Because it's
there's
all connected.
And
Our
trauma is
physical selves, our spiritual selves, our emotional
right.
selves. We are the toroidal field of, and we are.
Yes.
90% energy, 10% physical, if even that much.
And it's 80 to 90% of all physical illnesses are based at the emotional level,
Yeah,
emotional, spiritual, both emotional, spiritual. And I will say the emotional part, and when you're not eating well, or you're getting hurt, or what you've been hurt or something, there's trauma to the body,
yeah.
and then we get all dysregulated, totally dysregulated. And then there's a past, there's so much that goes. But I personally found out when the COVID thing was going on, I fell. And I fell down hard at church. I fell down to a tile floor, and my head went boing, 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 literally. And I was just totally, I had got a concussion. Didn't go to the doctors because I wasn't going to go in the hospital and not come out. Went to my
Right,
went to my chiropractor, and he goes, "You have a concussion, girl." He goes, "You really should go for an MRI." I said, "And what? And what are they going to do?"
right.
I'm kind of hard headed, literally. And so I ended up 5 days later with really bad. I went to a Bible study, and 22 of us, 14 of us got COVID. Two of us ended up really sick in the hospital. I was one of them. But trauma to your body. I fell, the others didn't. But
Yes.
there's trauma. So when you have trauma, that can cause other things. There's a lot to be learned.
Because your energy system is off.
There's all
So
over the
you're
place.
open, you're susceptible to weakness or
Right. So the immune system goes, same thing with sugar, same
oh,
thing with stress. And that's how you can test yourself.
yeah,
Test yourself.
kinesiology.
Right. Is your polarity correct? Are you okay? Are the energy in your body, right? Is that good or is it bad? Not good or bad, but I'm saying it wrong. Are you backwards? It's like the battery cables are on backwards.
It's a miss switch or a flip.
Right.
An
That,
inversion.
that's
Yeah,
right. And
yeah.
so, and that's what you learn when you start testing. So I'm off. It's like, why am I off? Have I had a trauma? When somebody gets sick, and usually what I'll say also when people come to me is like, so did you have trauma in the last 2 to 5 years? When we're talking cancer, we're talking not always, but oftentimes that is a huge factor. Lost their job, they got a divorce, they lost their spouse,
My
whatever.
my sister is going through a divorce and she is so sick. Hi, Carol. Hi, Carol. And it's
My
that
Carol?
uh because the divorce and it's trauma and before we got on camera, you were sharing, that you yourself are coming out of quite a heavy time and, the importance of talking and discussing the heavy feelings of grief.
Yes.
So,
Lots of grief, and that can bring you down. And in the past, I will say that I lost my husband 5 years ago, and I have never been sick until after he died. I
wow.
couldn't get myself because I grieved. I was grieving so much.
Yeah.
But lots of work, But again, and so if you think about somebody gets sick, what happened to them in the past? It's usually 2 to 5 years. What's happened? And I knew that, and I was working hard to bring myself back. But we have to learn how to help ourselves, but ask for help as well.
Yes, asking for help, absolutely. And that goes back to your ABCs, accept and like get yourself in the driver's seat that
Yeah.
you want to take charge of your own healing because no one can heal
No,
you. No one.
no,
No one
no.
outside of you can heal you. It's an inside job.
It's an inside job. I always say that. It's like healing is an inside job.
Yeah.
And so the more you go deeper, as I said personally, when I broke my wrist, I was forced to look at myself and say,
Yeah.
why did I fall? Why did I fall? What was going on in my life? So you start at where you're at,
Mhm.
wherever you're at, and then
Mastery.
start to chase it. Yes.
Mhm.
So why was I distracted? Da, da, da. And you just go on. And I went back and I used a lot of my pictures when I was younger, all the way to a baby. And I started to trace my life of the events in my life that were not necessarily bad, but it could be traumatic, good and bad. It's like, so this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. And what happened? What happened right before that? So I literally pulled the string on
Wow.
this. It's hard work.
It is hard. It is hard work, and it
But
the
you start to
honest
see.
honesty that's required, like, it's okay to not be okay. Acknowledge that you're not okay
Yeah.
and look at it. It's
Oh,
there
a hot
for a
mess.
reason. Yeah, like, it's okay. Like, look,
Right.
whenever I'm talking about something hard with somebody or whatever, and I'll make the joke, I'll be like, "Well, I'm perfect," completely joking, but
I
it's
know, but people expect more from you, and that's a heavy place to be. Well, you're not supposed to get sick. You're not supposed to have feelings. You're the doctor, or you're the whatever. You're the astrologist. You're the whatever. You know it all. No, because it's a facet of our lives.
yeah. And the things I do know now are from my life experience.
Yes.
It is from those traumas and the healing and then the this and the that.
And those things are for us, not to us.
Exact for us, not to us, because this victim consciousness, honey, you are fired.
Absolutely. It's
Oh
like,
my
oh
gosh.
man. Yeah, yeah.
We've got a comment from Pete Pablo, 1999. He said he was homeless for 5 years and
Oh,
he has just moved in his apartment last week.
bravo. Wow.
Congratulations, Pete.
So
Congratulations.
wonderful. And a lot of lessons, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, being homeless. I've been homeless in a very interesting way out in California at some pockets of life, and it is humbling. And I've learned, like, then I had crazy miracles in conjunction. Hello, Eternal Spark. Dr. Cathy Atkinson, you're joining us. She is a naturopathic doctor. So you may want to go back and watch the beginning of this video. She's sharing a lot of wisdom. So when someone, because a lot of people are feeling so pressed right now, as we are getting ready for this fall and this time and what's going on in the world. We've got election season coming up. What would be a word of your wisdom to assist others that they can do right now to move through these times?
I personally, I watch less TV
Yeah. Oh, what?
because
I don't watch TV.
anxiety, if you listen to it, just kind of revs you up. And one of the reasons why I went away last week on vacation, I needed to be in nature. I mean,
Mm,
I have nature all around me. I have a beautiful backyard, etc. But I needed to be in the woods,
yeah,
fresh air, sunshine. Those were the basics: fresh air, sunshine, nature all around me. I needed to be in that, and so I could connect to Mother Earth again.
there we go. Connect to Mother Earth.
I was hoping for a soothing environment, but
What happened?
I won't even go there.
Oh,
I was
okay.
pretty, I
Okay, you're
was
getting
pretty,
yourself.
pretty well like fried by the time I got home, but it was with the family.
Oh, I gotcha. There
Was
was,
yeah,
and I do think this full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces, a lot of us were dealing with ancestral karma,
yeah.
spiritual karma, family karma, drama, all the things. And, we're still in between these eclipses. So, and the equinox is Friday. So we're in a very auspicious
Clearing.
time. And
Yeah.
I love that you kept it so simple because I'm like, you're a doctor, give us some, a naturopathic doctor, give us some whole down remedy. And you're like, no, nature and sunshine.
I
That's all.
have I have a sheet that I usually it's on my website, I think, and it's called First Steps Forward. And when you violate these, most of these, when you violate these, is when you're going to get yourself in trouble. And if you'd like, I'll just say it real quick. Clean air, deep breathing, 3 deep breaths, hold in. You've got different types of breathing stuff, but just breathing, just taking night, go outside and get some nice fresh air. Hopefully you have it. Pure water, making sure that you're hydrated.
Hopefully you have it. You're killing me, Kathy. I love you.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, I live near where they make dog food and it smells like molasses some days and some days it doesn't.
Ooh, that's interesting.
It's
That's
not awful. It really isn't awful, but you can definitely tell they're making food. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
interesting. And
pure water.
Pure
Hydration
water. What do
hydration is essential.
Yeah,
And a lot of people think they're drinking tons of water, but they're not absorbing it. So one of the easiest things to do, because our electrolytes are off,
right.
and all water is ancestral. It's been around forever.
It all remembers each other.
So I just tell people get the purest water, filters, whatever you've got, get the best you can, but take some sea salt and put some in your hand,
Mhm.
if you and just pop it in your mouth.
And then drink water.
And chew on it and then drink your water. Don't put it in your water, chew on it. And what that does is it helps balance out your sodium, potassium. It's just simple. It's not 100% everything, but you will find that you will not have to pee as much. It's like, because a lot of people say, oh, I drink water and it's all I do is pee. Well, you want to absorb it a little bit
Got it.
like a sponge. You want to absorb it. And then, you want to get the water in you. So, and the water, I tell people, and I keep it so raw. Sometimes it's like, so when you lose power and you lose water, and all the kids have got to go to the bathroom, you got the visual. You don't
Yep.
have any water. It gets pretty nasty, and that's what happens to our bodies.
Yeah,
When
because it doesn't flush out, right? And
right,
I live in Asheville, North Carolina, and we
so
make
beautiful.
the, Celtic sea salt here.
Celtic sea salt. Yep.
Yeah, it's so good. So
Last year was kind of a run of it. Nobody had it. It was kind of interesting.
it was interesting to see, and borax seemed to
Yeah.
not make it on the shelf, which is so magical. I put that in everything.
Well, to me, this is so basic.
Yeah,
It's
it's
simple.
simple, right?
Yeah, so making sure you've got that in the good, and I always look at the body as like a vehicle. And so when you got doors that the hinges aren't working right and they creak a little bit, and think about our knees. They need to be oiled. We need to have good oils in our body. We need to make sure that we're feeding our body properly. Natural food, that's right in there. Make sure you get the freshest food you can. Don't go crazy because right now food is exorbitant.
So
Do
expensive.
the best you can. That's all I say. Do the best. Try to stay away from all those processed foods because God knows what it's doing to us.
Hi, Michelle. I bathe in Botox too. I just made diatomaceous earth toothpaste, and you can put baking soda in your bathtub as well.
You mean borax or Botox?
Oh, I think she meant borax.
Okay.
Borax. Oh, I meant to say she wrote Botox. Yeah, no,
Okay.
don't.
I'm sorry, but I saw that. I'm going, I don't think
Thank
so.
you, Kathy. That's hilarious. No, but Botox is so funny. Like when I lived in California, I'm like, you have a square in your forehead, but you don't have any wrinkles, but I can see like the energetic square.
You can't really move it too much, but
Yeah, it's so interesting. So interesting.
rest and sleep. I mean, I have some basics, rest and sleep. And if you don't sleep, you can't function.
No, I couldn't function when I couldn't sleep as a little girl. I'd go to school crying if I had a bad night's sleep. I was always bad with the sleep.
Again, going back, just a basic. And was not sleeping well at all for a while. I was in a lot of pain with my hand. And
Right.
I wasn't going to take some of the stuff that they recommended. I believe in magnesium. Fabulous.
Magnesium. And what type of magnesium would you suggest? Because I look and I'm like, which one should I get?
Looking here on my shelf here.
Kathy is so cute. I love her, y'all. This video is full of such powerful medicine. It's amazing.
Different types. I mean, I use a variety of different magnesiums, and some of them are. My brain's going dead, so I apologize.
Oh,
You know,
no, it's okay. You're doing great. You're doing great.
but basically, I do it in powder. I do most of my stuff in powder or liquids if I can,
Powder
because
or liquids?
it absorbs much better. And before I forget this really important point, here you go, movies. It's got it's not saying it. Anyways, it's okay. I use a variety of them. They come together. I have my own private label company. It's on my website, and everything is natural and
And everything.
non-GMO, etc. Yeah,
And they can just add things to the cart from your website
yeah,
or
yes,
amazing, amazing.
yeah. So
Now,
that's
I know you have something that you are preparing to birth for humanity that lights your heart up, and there's no way I'm letting you go before we talk about that.
okay.
Now, do you have okay, y'all. So Kathy, she is so wise and has so much wisdom to share. Have you written a book?
Not yet. I'm struggling. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I
Yeah.
don't know why my guides are telling me to mention that online for you.
Well,
But
here's another little tidbit that many people, and I share this, and people are like, really? Well, if you're taking medications, and a lot of people, they're taking medications, if they want to do natural, don't take them together.
oh, I wonder about that because it's going to irritate the
Well,
one.
they're going to cancel each other out. And so, because supplements and herbs and things like that are not as powerful, they're powerful, but they're not as powerful as a synthetic medication.
Got
So the
it.
synthetic medication can just wipe out that frequency and that energy of the supplements. So I tell people wait at least an hour between. The doctors don't tell you this. They just tell you not to take it. Take supplements.
Right, exactly. Okay, so I'm sorry, I missed that point. So if you're on a prescription,
Mhm.
then do the prescription and do not take natural supplements.
At the same time, people will just put stuff in their hands and they're taking their vitamins and they're taking their this and their that. And it's like, why are you doing that? Because you're mixing two different energies.
If you're mixing the allopathy and naturopathy.
Telepathy, right. And another thing is I had someone call me today. It was just wonderful. People were calling me, and I didn't even ask for this information, but one lady says, you were helping a friend of mine, and she was using whatever it was, doesn't matter, St. John's wort or something. And she goes, she was using it, and it really helped her. And so I was going through a blue time, and I thought, well, I could be taking it too. And I'm like, St. John's wort? Everything is not 100% safe. I love St. John's wort, but it doesn't mean that you could take it with anything. And so she ended up taking, ready, help me here, antidepressant, same time as she was taking the St. John's wort. No,
Oh.
you need to like really know what you're doing. And most medical doctors, God bless them, I'm not talking bad about them. They don't really know herbs.
Well, they're indoctrinated, and that's gonna be a hard, as this consciousness awakening
Yes.
continues, that's gonna be, the more compassion because
Mhm.
their intentions were probably really good. And again, we've all been lied to,
And
right?
you're right. And they're also, don't take that supplement, don't take that. And they are partially true. I will say that because you can't mix them. So what she ended up was not overdosing, but she was taking more and she was feeling worse.
Oh,
So, and when you're on an antidepressant or anti-anxiety, any of that stuff is powerful. And
yeah,
you need to treat that with utmost respect, really. Getting on it and getting off it. And so I tell people, it's like, if you're on it, they come to me. It's like, that's one of the things you have to be super careful about getting off from. You need to work with your medical doctor.
yeah.
You need to work with them and say, I want to get off it. How do I get off? How do I wean off? Because that can be absolutely disastrous. And I've seen it happen. So,
I have as well.
okay.
And
Yeah.
it took somebody out for many months.
It took somebody out permanently in this case.
Oh gosh.
So, I mean, to have, it's like, well, I wanted to get off everything. So I went cold turkey on everything.
Yeah, there's a weaning
So,
process.
the stuff, even taking aspirin, anything can be, you need to just know what you're doing because aspirin is a blood thinner.
Right,
You take them all the time. You need to figure out what the problem is so you don't have to take it all the time. So,
right.
usually
Well,
arthritis, usually
that's
pain
natural, right? It's not natural to have to do something
all the time.
all the time. That's not
To
balance.
help us get out of the woods.
Right.
You get out of the woods, you get out of the pain. Nobody should have to go through pain. But let's get to what helping that person. And it can be emotional,
Yeah. Well, it is emotional.
but it can
And
be physical,
that's probably why the person started taking the antidepressant in the first place because they didn't want to feel their feelings.
and that's exactly what she told me. You could have word for word.
And it never, like, oh, beautiful human beings, feelings are a gift. They are here communicating that we need to pay attention to them and feel them because they will never go away
Feelings buried
until
alive. There's a book called that. Feelings buried alive never die.
Whoa, that's powerful.
It is powerful.
Feelings.
Never feelings buried alive never die. It's
Wow.
power. I think Carol, I think her name is. I can't remember. But I mean, it's been many years. But that book, there's so many wonderful books out there.
There really is.
Mhm.
I'm seeing if we have any questions. Did you want to sprinkle desires of a program that you want to begin, Miss Kathy? And if
Yeah.
you don't want to talk about it, you don't have to.
Well, I am working it in my head. I'm writing things down, kind of drawing it out. But I'm looking for like a template, and I could really use some help and guidance on
Oh,
template because as I'm working on myself and working with people, we start where we're at, and I think about a genealogy. I don't do genealogy, but I know you start where you're at, and then you go to your brothers and sisters and mother and father, and you can kind of use that kind of a template as to going back for yourself. These are the things that happened to me. These are the illnesses. These are the traumas. These are whatever that's happened to me in my life. And then we trace it back and we go through the years and you go body, mind, and soul. And then you can kind of trace it back. I use pictures.
pictures are great to stimulate, especially if you're a very visual person.
Yes, and if you're not, but you can go in and they don't even have pictures anymore except for digital. But I
Ugh.
was blessed by my mother when she died. I got 8 totes of pictures,
Oh my gosh.
and I
Good
sorted
job,
them.
Mom.
What that does is it brings you back, and it's like, yeah. And I remember I had this problem, and as I was saying, I had a lot of reproductive problems, a lot of female problems, a lot of this and this, and I traced it back. What was going on and what happened as a result? I traced it right back to my birth.
Wow, that is so powerful.
Because when I was going through the pictures, I found a letter, 7-page letter from my mother's cancer doctor. 7-page handwritten letter from him, soothing her and calming her. When I was 6 months old, she was diagnosed with ovarian and cervical
Um,
cancer. He told her that I caused her cancer. So I lived with this guilt most of my life. And
oh my gosh, and guilt is such a
a lesson,
heavy
a
feel.
lesson. And I saw it as I was born with those cancer cells, most likely. I don't know. I was born with a weakness. It kind of like a miasm that's created, and miasms are a whole different thing. But I saw that and I'm thinking, and I felt like I was responsible. So I became the caregiver.
Right.
And it creates who we are. And we're talking about PTSD with childhood.
Yeah.
You're thinking you're responsible for everybody else
Yep.
except yourself. Is that not deep?
Oh, that is so amazing.
So if we can see that, and I
Mm,
go to something called Celebrate Recovery. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of it. It's a Christian-based recovery group. It's like AA, but different. And I
okay.
do that. We do the 12 steps, but it's basically clearing yourself and,
Mhm.
and forgiving yourself.
So
And
powerful.
it's like it doesn't matter how you do it. I mean, people go their way, do their way, but that's working for me. And
Mhm.
then what you see when I'm going to it, this is after breaking my wrist, mind you. That
Yeah.
for me, okay. But
Mhm.
I see that there's other people just like me.
Yeah.
They're all feeling, they're all hurting, they're all trying to process their emotions and to see. And so they're all healing, but I'm looking for a way to help people heal throughout the whole body, mind, and soul.
Well, and you've brought up this word several times in our time together, and you've used tracing. And I'm like, is that a thing? You're like, no, that's just what I call it. I'm like, no, Kathy, I think that's the thing. I
Well,
think that's what your program is called.
you're
Trace.
awesome. Retracing and tracing. So retracing is, I think you mentioned you had a healing crisis after you had your baby.
Yeah,
You
I had a C-section. Yeah.
C-section, and how you felt it after going through some type of, was it chiropractic, or I don't remember.
It's Genius Frequency. They assist. It's that they do network chiropractic, but they assist in reactivating the trauma that's stored in the skeletal system. And like 3 weeks after, I couldn't walk after I started working with my dear friend, Dr. Chelsea
Scary.
and Brian. And my body was reprocessing the trauma of the C-section,
And
epidural,
that's
and
scary. that was clearing it for you
Yep.
once and for all. You didn't put a Band-Aid on it.
No, I did
You got
not.
to the root cause.
I did. I screamed for weeks and cried and grieved and had to forgive myself. Like
Yeah,
my body's not broken. And
so deep. It's so
so,
deep that people are afraid of it.
yeah,
I mean, yeah, it's like I've gone through some of that before. You cry and it's like, oh my God. And you realize what your core issues,
yeah,
part of your core issues are.
the hardcore issues.
So
Absolutely.
that to me is like healing is not the same as a cure.
No.
Sometimes, I don't really know if there is a cure out there. People think there is, but I think it's a healing and it's a deep healing. And so we keep peeling those layers of that onion until we find out that we're really rotten in the middle.
Till you find out you're a piece of shit.
Did I say that? No, because that would be quoted somewheres. But you get to the core, and it's like, do we ever get to the core? I don't know.
I don't think so because
A
we
million
don't ever
layers.
die. We are eternal beings. Like our energy never dies. It just transforms.
Our spirit and our soul.
No? Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
it's a beautiful thing when you get the layer. You start to peel the layers, but it can be painful as all get out.
yeah. And it's and we can do it. It is possible.
I have
Okay.
a couple quotes that I wrote down.
Oh yeah? Do you want me to type them in the chat for everyone? Is
Sure.
this your inspiring take it with you?
These are my core beliefs. Some of my core beliefs is your body isn't programmed to be sick.
Nope.
You're not
It's the
programmed to be
exact
sick.
opposite.
Right. And then I have lowered resistance is a welcome sign for germs and bacteria and things like that. Lowered
Mhm.
resistance. Remember, I said I fell, got a concussion, and then
Right.
COVID.
So lowered resistance is what? I want to put this in the chat.
Lowered resistance is the welcome sign for germs and sickness for sickness. So when your resistance is lowered, you're welcome. It's like here I am, have at me.
Oh my God. Yeah, because and it's like, okay, so we have to love ourselves, take
Yes.
great care of
Go back to
ourselves.
the basics. Yes.
And I've typed your website in here so much. I'm so excited to have had you. And I'm so honored for all the wisdom that, I mean, we zapped through. We're going over an hour here, but we've
Sorry.
zapped through.
I have
No.
one more.
Oh, do it, do it, do it, please.
You
Oh, yeah.
never treat enough symptoms to correct the cause.
Never treat enough symptoms.
You have to get to the root cause. So
Okay.
until you get there, and people will. Yes, I don't want to go too far, but it's like basically,
Oh, wait. I want to get this right.
sure,
Hold on, hot shot, as my mom calls my son. Never treat enough symptoms
correct the cause.
to correct the cause.
If you keep doing what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always. So if you keep doing the same thing over and over and over and expect to get better results,
Results. That's insanity, right?
insanity. So when people say, "Well, what do I do?" and it's like, "Well, these are some things you might not want to do." If you keep doing what you've always done, you're not going to get well.
No. And it takes hard work and courage.
And I'm not perfect because, lowered resistance will get me every time.
That is so powerful. Those are some really powerful gems that
That's
you have.
naturopathy. That's what naturopathy is all about.
It is. It really is. That's so beautiful. Oh my gosh. Dr. Cathy Atkinson. Oh my gosh, everyone. Please go to her site, order some of her supplements. She is a wise goddess sage that is she's just getting cooking.
Thank
Just
you.
getting cooking.
And if
And
you want a discount, there's a discount code.
oh, discount code. Yes,
It's
please.
a discount code Loyalty Love 10. Loyalty Love 10% off. So it's Loyalty Love 10.
Loyalty Love 10.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I'm like, I'm gonna give that to my mom. Oh my
Thank
gosh, thank you.
you.
Cathy, okay, I met you a little over an hour ago, and I am so in love with you. Thank
Well,
you.
I feel the same because this has been really beautiful. Thank you.
It's been so wonderful. And I thank you with all of my heart. I am so grateful for your existence. And I have no doubt that this is so full of so much free medicine for people. So
I
go
hope so.
see Cathy, everybody. She is a magical goddess. And Cathy, don't hang up. I want to talk to you backstage.
Okay. I'll be
Okay?
here. Yep. Okay.
All
Bye
right,
bye. Thank
buddy. I
you.
thank you all for watching the 14th or whatever episode. Yeah,
Okay.
14th of
Episode
Who
14.
Are You? All right, everybody.